What's going on, y'all? This is your girl, Brie Undeniably, checking in for another episode of my speaker series, Deep Conversations with Dope Individuals, where we're discussing development, decision-making, and a dedication to purpose. Today, as always, I have another dope individual on the podcast. Before I introduce him, I'm going to do a couple quick shout-outs. First and foremost, shout out to Gotham Production Studio. They are the ones hooking it up with this space that I'm in, the audio and the video engineering. The team is amazing here, so shout out to Gotham. Second, if you have not checked out MC Kicks, that's at EMCEEKICKS. That is where you can get all of your dope, customizable kicks and merch streetwear needs. Everything is hand-painted, custom-made to order. That's kicks, denims, as well as you can order a bunch of the different prints. There's always new things on the website. They've sponsored me since day one. They've really been amazing. I've actually got the Bosky Biggie bag with me today. So if you're watching YouTube, you can see this is some MC Kicks merch. So check them out. And finally, when you're doing your own thing, get to pump yourself up. So if you have not checked out my website, that's BrieUndeniably.com. You can go there. You can obviously see everything that has to do with the podcast. You could also see my own podcast tour there. So me going on other people's podcasts. But there's a whole lot more outside of what I do, outside of podcasting that I do, including my speaking engagements, as well as different coaching, counseling, things that I'm working on, trainings and workshops. So go there, check that out, BrieUndeniably.com. You can also get your dope individual merch there and your I Am Possible gear. All right, so I am here with Bran Katanec. Bran, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brie. Thanks for having me.
Yes, it's a pleasure. I'm really excited to have you today, Bran. I'm going to give you the introduction that you deserve, and then we're going to kick into it. So, Bran Katanec is a personal empowerment expert. He's been a teacher and mentor to many. With a meditation-based approach and his background in the healing arts, Bran is here to help you get empowered. He facilitates online workshops and works with individuals and groups, teaching them the tools that will help them to be more grounded, confident, and to have more clarity and insight when moving forward in life, helping them to move forward, honoring themselves, and receiving back what they deserve. Through his podcast called BEnergyAware, Bran creates content for all those who want to live a conscious life in which they can be themselves and thrive. His audiobook, Get Empowered, is here to grow awareness and help people overcome daily challenges. And Bran has overcome a lot of adversity in his life, coming from a small European country, living through war and poverty at a young age, and using music to help him get through all of the difficult times. Today, he lives in Canada, and aside from the podcast and teaching and healing work, he is spending a lot of time playing guitar and writing, recording, and producing his own original music. Once again, Bran, welcome. I'm really excited to have you.
Thank you so much, Brie. I'm really glad to be here.
Awesome. Well, the way that I like to start the podcast, first and foremost, I think I'm most excited about this conversation because there is a lot of crossover in our work. And I love bringing healers onto the show because I feel like I get to learn new techniques and implementations and things that really expand our mindset around healing and the power of it. So really excited to have you here. The way that I really like to get into getting to know you a little bit more is that in the counseling community, we like to meet our clients where they're at. And I think it's really important to do the same for listeners. So why don't you help us meet you where you're at?
Wow. To meet me where I'm at. Okay, let's give it a try. So, first of all, I want to say that I'm a musician. Musicians can be, they have different reasons for doing it, but really what connects them is the love of music. And my love for music is something I cannot describe. Music saved my life, and I owe a lot to music. And I've been creative from day one. So this has been a big part of my life and why I'm still here and why I'm doing the work that I'm doing today. So if you ask me, from my perspective, my journey is a music journey. But along that journey, because I cared so much about music, to get myself out of the difficult circumstances that I was in back in my home country, it took a lot, and I learned a lot on my way to coming here and to doing what I'm doing today. And so, I have a lot to share. And so, the teaching work, the healing work, again, the podcast, the audiobook, there's a lot that I'm doing right now. And one thing about me, I'm first and most of all a musician. I have to accentuate that.
I'm really happy that you are putting the emphasis there, because I think so often we can feel like we are either one thing or another. We have to be either this or that. And I love that yours is this and that. You are this healer, and we have this healing work, this incredible body of work that you've done, but also you are a musician, which some people might see separate, some people might see very intertwined. Just hearing these few moments of you saying that music has been a part of your life, I can imagine the healing power that it might have brought in your life. So I can definitely see the interconnectedness of healing in music. I know I feel the same way, and I've really understood the healing power of music. So I just love that you are really coming forward as a musician first. I think that's amazing. And I think it might really speak to your roots. Am I correct in assuming that music brings you pretty far back to close to the beginning of your journey?
Well, close enough for sure. Yeah, it kind of, I have to say, yeah, I think you're right, Brie. I think it really started there, because before music, before starting to play the guitar, I really didn't have much of an idea what I was going to do with my life. I had some ideas, but it wasn't really until I still remember this moment. When I got my first guitar, and I got some guitar lessons, and I remember this great person back in my hometown. He was a professional musician, and he was willing to teach me to play at least the basics. And so as soon as he started playing, I remember that first guitar lesson. As soon as he started playing guitar, I was like, oh, this is it. I was like, this is it. This whole world opened up in front of me, and I could see myself, doing big things with music.
Wow. So what was, well, I have a couple questions. One, at what sort of general stage in your life was this? Were you a teenager? Were you young? Were you out of grade school? Where were you in your life at this point?
Yeah, I was in high school. I was around the age of 15.
Okay.
So I was a teenager, yes.
And now I'm just really, all of my listeners know that I am very consumed in feeling an emotion, and I really like to sort of probe into that a lot. Hence why I love learning about healing as well, because in order to heal, you need to feel. And I really would love to know sort of that feeling for you, that sort of expansive moment of awe. Like, what were you feeling in that moment where it seemed like the world just opened up for you with the guitar?
It just seemed, thank you for this question, Brie. Mm-hmm. This is a great question. It felt like anything is possible, and there was this excitement about my life and my journey, which I knew it was not going to be an easy one, but there was these endless possibilities, and there's something big that I couldn't explain, that I just had a sense of at that moment. So it was like anything was possible with the guitar in my hands, basically.
Wow. I love that. I hope we can all almost like reach back into our frames of memory and find that moment for us, because I feel like many of us, maybe not everyone, but I feel like many people somewhere in their childhood might have experienced that anything is possible moment. And it might be really far back. We might not be able to remember it, and that's okay too. But I encourage people to try to remember that moment in their childhood if they might have had it, because it could bring up some memories that you might have forgotten about. It could bring up some feelings that you might have forgotten about. And I'm really just happy that we're starting your story here at this awe-inspiring moment. So let's kind of just continue the trajectory of your life from here. So this was young Bran, around the age of 15, just scratching the surface of music. Where does your story take us from there?
Well, I was really inspired. I was really motivated, and I wasn't that ambitious at first in terms of having a career with music. I just was, it's high school. You want to play, you want to create music, you want to play in bands, you want to perform live, you want to play live,
Mm-hmm.
and so I did a lot of that. So within the first couple of years, I already started recording in studios, created my own music, had bands, and played live, and all those things. So my high school years were quite great, actually. Now, when I look back, it's just it's bliss. It's pure bliss that happened for me. In terms of doing music and the things that I could do at that time.
Yeah. Okay, so you kind of went full force in it, and it was consuming you at this point in life. Music really was what you were sort of revolving around in your life and in your world, and you were putting yourself full force into it at that time.
Well, I would almost rephrase that into saving me, because it
Yes.
came at a point in my life where not good things with my family were happening, and we've already been through war back in my home country a couple of years back, and so it was a difficult time. So I needed something. So this is one thing that I want to point out. It was like I was consciously looking for something, searching for something that will, in a way, save me and uplift my life and give me something to live for. So this was, I have to say, there was intention behind it. But what I did not know was that I'm going to really find myself in guitar and in music. I wasn't aware of that. So that was a really nice surprise. And so that kept me going. That's for sure.
Wow. Okay. So saving you, I mean, that is such a major statement, and I'm just feeling the impact of it, because I know that there are plenty of people with a similar conviction that music has saved them. And then not only are you now saying that it saved you, but the added bonus was that you found yourself within it as well. You really sort of found whatever that piece of you that you might have not even known that you were looking for at the time. Let's push into that a little bit more. What describe that experience, describe how that sort of propelled into the next levels or next phases for you, finding yourself in music.
Yeah, and also expressing myself. So this is the most important piece, being creative with music. I had, from day one, since I learned my first chords on the guitar, I had my own expression, my own identity. And so this is something that's really rare in the music world. And I had it from day one, and it's just to me, it's the most important thing you can have. And that, realizing that I have this creativity, this expression, my identity, through music, that I can express myself and be creative and feel there was such a feeling of being fulfilled and being at peace, which is what I needed more than anything else at the time. That kind of created this, I have to protect it. I have to do something with it so it doesn't disappear, so it doesn't go away, so that other things in life don't get in the way or kind of diminish it or, erase it in some way. So I was fiercely protective of it.
It seems like music for you sort of took on almost not necessarily another persona. And I don't think that security blanket is the right word either, but it seems like it almost like became a companion to you or a piece of you that I guess you and music fused together at that point in your life. Maybe that might be the way to phrase it. Like it seems that it was your life. It did bring about really major moments of change and understanding in who you are and who you were at that time. Am I correct in sort of making these sort of reflections to what you're saying?
Yes, you're quite right. The point is, I had something that I cared so much about, and it was a really new thing and fresh and inspiring. And I was, I wasn't thinking long term at the time. Didn't have a clear vision at the time. But what I did know, I really needed to keep on being creative. I really needed to spend time with music. I needed to keep expressing through music and be active with it. This is what I did know.
Okay. All right. So I'm into the story right now. I am curious to know what happens next. Has music always been this strength that has flown through your life, or were there moments after this where you had to separate from it a little bit, or just naturally separated from it as you pursued other things? How did this trajectory unfold for you?
Well, it was after high school things became difficult, of course. I got a regular job. I worked at a bank in my hometown, and it was for 1 year. And within that 1 year, I actually got disconnected from guitar. And so that really startled me. That really scared me. And then I decided, well, you know what? I can actually step back, quit the job, go to university, to go to college or something, at least something. I needed to do something that would give me time to figure things out and to slowly start and get back to music, because I realized I couldn't live without guitar. I couldn't live without music, and I couldn't have a life that's not a creative life. That, that's a different kind of life. And that's what that year, 1 year, short year after high school, first year after high school showed me. And so it was I would say it was a breakthrough. It was a big awakening. It was one of the first awakenings for me that I've had in my grown-up life.
Oh, I love that you really refer to this as a breakthrough. This is kind of like one of those turnkey moments, but for you, it was a turnkey year almost, that you realized as you stepped away from that, something that you loved and something that you were comfortable to pursue something else, either by necessity or otherwise. You graduated high school, so there's another step to take. And I love that year pulled you back in to music. It almost solidified exactly what you were feeling prior to, as not just fleeting moments of passion, but a real deep ingrained love for music and what it has done for you and what it's brought to you. So I love that you highlight that that year of your life, because it, like you said, it seems like it was really that first moment that took you away from music and you realized really how much you loved it.
Yes, exactly that.
Wow. So, okay. So did you just jump right back in at this point? Now you said you considered going to college or university. You knew you wanted to go back into music from this 1 year job that you took. So let's just keep on in the story.
Yeah, I did enroll into college. That the following year, after I quit the job at the bank, and I was with music. It was hard to find out to reconnect with the guitar. That was my biggest obstacle, because I didn't understand at the time what actually happened. Today I do, And, you know, we sometimes can let go of things that are really important to us. And it takes a while to get back into that zone, so to speak. And so for me, it took me, I guess, some years to get back to where I wanted to be. By that time, I already graduated out of college. And so the next thing that really happened, that was a big thing, I decided to start teaching guitar.
Okay.
And so that was maybe the biggest breakthrough by that time, because I realized I was a teacher. I was a gifted teacher, and so I didn't know. I was like, oh, I thought I was just a musician. I didn't know. And so when I started teaching, I realized that I have this gift for teaching, and I again became dedicated to that, and kept on creating music and trying to find a way, to, realizing, again, having another band, releasing an album, touring my home country with that band, and then that band falling apart. And that was the last thing I could take. I was heartbroken. And I invested the previous 2 years of my life into that band, and it just went away just like that. And so it was like, for me at that point, it was like, I really need to get out of here. I just couldn't stay in my hometown anymore.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that piece with us. That I can only imagine when you put so much of yourself into something that you really love and you really believe in, and then by whatever circumstances, it's gone. I'm feeling that moment with you. I can relate to that in some capacity. And that's a tough thing to go through. And it seemed like it really pushed you to a place where you wanted to remove yourself from the environment completely. Being in that environment that you were seemingly thriving in now felt maybe foreign, or maybe you were feeling unwanted in that space. I'm not sure what your feelings were there, but I can imagine that there was a real push away from the environment to try to distance yourself from that hurt.
Yeah, when you want to launch yourself, you want to launch a career with a band from a small country in Europe, then you have to do things. You have to put in a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And when something like that doesn't work, well, there was nothing for me there anymore, right, to keep me there. And so I moved away from my hometown to the capital of my country, and then I continued teaching and creating music and trying to figure out a way to get myself out of there in general. So that was a really testing time for me, because there were things that were pulling me to stay. Mm-hmm. And then there were things that I just couldn't let go of. Again, bringing it back to the initial spark, the inspiration and the creativity, and protecting that creativity and expression through music. And that's really what, again, kept me going.
Oh, man. So in this time, it seems like it was such a push and pull for you too, because though there was the loss of your band and this major piece of you that you had in those 2 years, you also found teaching in that, and you found that you were a really wonderful teacher, and that maybe this could be a course of action or career for you in some way. So I'm kind of just teasing out the balance of that right now, because in one sense you're finding something, and the other you're losing something.
It is, and it's been like that. It's like that for most people. I believe most people can relate to this, and it's always like to look at it as a new beginning, and there are stages in our lives, and when anything happens that we might perceive as at least unpleasant or maybe negative or however we perceive it, and it's not easy to go through, but there's this new thing that's starting to open up if we just care to look. And so that's what I was striving to do. I wanted to find something. I was like, well, this must be happening for a reason. I was like, this is not here to pull you back. This is, if anything, this is to move you forward.
Yes. Okay. So that is, I hope for everyone listening that we can adopt that mentality. But I know it's so much easier said than done, one, to try to see that everything happening in our life, even the things that feel negative, are actually, in fact, happening for a reason. But from there, you did make that step. You moved to the capital, you said, of your country. So you moved out a little bit. And then did you continue teaching from there? Did you do a 180? Where did you go from there?
Yeah, I continued teaching, like I said, and creating music and kind of preparing myself, writing songs, starting to actually work more on my singing and me being the front person in the band, because before then, there were always, I was just the guitar player, and there were other people that I almost when you're in a band, it's kind of, you depend on other people. It's like having a family. And so by starting to sing and being the front person in the band, well, there's a lot that goes with that you have, I wouldn't say more control, but you have a bigger say in what gets done and what doesn't get done, and how you want things to be. And when you sing and when you're writing songs, and maybe it's even a collaboration within the band to write songs, but it's different than just being a guitar player in the band. So that's what also changed for me, because I realized, now I'm going to be the driving force of any band or anything, any music project that I do, and it only stops when I stop. So I wanted to make sure that I am the key person, and the rest, I wouldn't say literally the rest of the people are replaceable, although they might be. I don't like putting it like that, but I just needed that assurance and reassurance for myself that more things, quite a bit more things, depend on me solely if it's going to continue or not, at least in that regard.
Yeah, it seems like you really took that power back for yourself there, because almost as if, you had this one experience and you basically saw how to prevent it from happening again in the future. And that's by you jumping in the driver's seat. It only stops when you stop, as you said, which I love, because I think that that is a mentality that we should all adopt, that, just because maybe things are coming to a halt around us, we should only stop when we want to stop. Something, that is our passion or that we're pursuing tirelessly. So I love that.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I was kind of being called to step up, and so I did.
Oh, yes. Okay. And I feel like just by the way that you're even framing these sort of snapshots of your life, it seems like you're really getting into this more expanded mindset, sort of understanding a lot about yourself and your journey. And did this all eventually transition into the practice that you're working in now and doing meditation-based work and healing work, or was it still quite a bit of time from these moments that you sort of made those steps?
Okay, so this is the key question, I have to say, Bree. You've just asked me a key question today, because this is where it really my healing journey started. When I moved away from my home country. And I didn't move to Canada right away. I was still in Europe for a while. And so when I moved, after a while, after I've moved, I realized that you can move anywhere in the world. You can go as far as you can, all across the world, but you bring stuff with you.
Okay.
So that was the biggest breakthrough of my life so far. And I'm not sure if anything's going to, surpass that. So I moved, and then many of the old things started recreating itself. And I could see, because I was in a different environment, in the different surroundings, I could see the patterns. I could actually notice, this is what, I used to see this, I used to do this, I used to encounter this, I used to, it's familiar. Why is it happening here, so far away from home? And so I came to realization also that that I've brought the old baggage with me, and that I have lots of burdens, a lot of burden on my shoulders, and that I really needed to let go, needed to get rid of if I was going to be happy, healthy, and create this new life for myself. And so this is when the world of healing opened up to me.
Wow. Okay. I have a lot of questions. I want to keep on the story, but I just want to sort of reiterate a few things that you're saying. So when you said that you can move anywhere, but you still bring things with you, those things that you were speaking on was the baggage, the old patterns, the things that we feel like we're escaping when we change environments, but we're not escaping if we don't actively let those baggage things go.
Yeah, exclusively internal things.
Yes.
Exclusively internal, and we can take one briefcase, one suitcase, none backpack with us when we leave, but it's what we bring, what we carry inside, that's what's the biggest thing of all.
Oh, yes. Oh, that's so powerful too, because, we can think that we're sort of making this move for our healing. We think that, and changing your environment can be really beneficial in a lot of ways for healing, but it doesn't escape the other pieces of healing that are also necessary to sort of break free from those patterns that you mentioned, those things that started to repeat themselves and come back, resurface. So let's just push into it. So this was really the realization for you that healing needed to take place, or that your journey of healing was going to start.
Yeah, and I was like, what am I supposed to do now? How am I supposed to do this? I'm realizing something's not quite right, and I'm seeing it, but I don't quite understand it. And so when I started, doing the actual healing work, and I took some healing, I got interested in a couple of different healing modalities, and I took some courses, I attended some courses, classes, and so on. But this wasn't it for me. It was just getting in through the door, and realizing I have a lot more work to do. I have a lot more studying to do to really figure it out, and to make it kind of that I can apply it in all areas of my life very consciously. And so this is where that's why my website and the podcast is called BEnergyAware, because I realized what actually it is, the energy that I brought back. It's the energy that I need to release. It's the energy that I need to be aware of. We store a lot of energy in our system, in our bodies even. So those were, and still the breakthroughs, and I still don't see it being talked about enough. And this is my gift to humanity, to bring this up for discussion, at least, because to me today it's so crystal clear. It's like, it's almost like I have it under a microscope to microscope to the tiniest detail how these things work, because I really needed to do my homework. After that realization, I was like, oh no, now Bran, you really need to dedicate yourself to this.
Wow. So, I mean, I really just want to keep listening, to be honest with you, because I feel like there's so much to touch on with this idea of energy and stored energy and sort of the concepts that you've really detailed in the work that you're doing. Can you just tell us more about, I don't know, maybe give us a few snapshots of these energy ideas that you're speaking of to help people listening who might not really understand, give them a framework?
Let's say everything is energy, and you have physical things, but you also have things like that carry energy, and so those would be mental energy, emotional energy, and so everyone can tell. And I like this example, and I keep saying it all over and over again. And so it's everyone can tell when an angry person walks into the room. Everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone can tell if that person, and you don't even have to see them. There can be a bunch of people in the room, a room full of people, but there's something that person walks in and everyone starts getting uneasy. Most people will. And those that don't are probably distracted, or who knows what's going on for them. But most people will tell without even looking at the person. There's something there's something uneasy going on, and it's in the room. And then, of course, you're going to locate the person right away if you have a look, if you just look around the room. And same with pretty much anything else. So this is, one thing where we can become more aware of these things, the energy that we bring, the energy that other people bring. And it's not about being judgmental or assessing all kinds of situations, but it's about, for me, what I want to say is it's about making better decisions. So, for example, I'll give you an example. If you want to make a decision, let's say when I make decisions, I tune into the energy of the possible outcome of this decision. I tune into the energy of the situation, or the possible situation it might create. So to me, energy tells me pretty much everything that I need to know. So whenever I do something, before I do anything, I tune in. Before I make a decision, I tune in to the energy of this or that. So does that make any sense?
Yes, and I'm just replaying what you just said. When you make a decision, you tune in to the energy of the possible outcome. That is, my goodness, does that hold power? So you tune into energy to understand how situations might play out or how you might move about in a certain situation. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. This is one of the best examples, and anyone can present. And then, so I'll be clear. I'll be very clear. So let's say you're looking. Someone comes to you with an offer for a job offer, and you might not be looking for work. You might be looking for work. It doesn't really matter. But it seems like there are so many benefits to this job, and it looks great on paper. And when this person enthusiastically presents it to you, and you're like, yeah, this is great. But how does it feel when you really tune into it? So this is what our brain, we take in everything through our mind, and our brain processes it. And then this can create a feeling which is not based in reality, but to me, the energy is based in reality. When someone comes to me with anything and with something shiny that looks great, I'm always gonna, okay, that sounds good. but just give me a little bit of time, and then I take time as much as I need to really assess and really tune into the energy of it. If it feels good, then I confirm, okay, well, this is good. This might be something I want to do, or something I want to try, or whatever. It could be a yes, and sometimes it's a really firm yes. Sometimes it's, well, this is a great thing to do, but this is my process, and this is. I think it could save humanity. Honestly, I'm not kidding you. This is just, you can take it only as my opinion, but most people's suffering it just comes from these decisions that are based on, our mind's perception of what we want it to be. We project things. We want it to be this big thing. But we can actually, instead of making it into something it's not, we can take a step back and tune into the energy of it.
So powerful, so well said. I wish we could go into more, but that will be as we transition to the last part of our show. We'll make sure that you leave listeners with where they can find you if they do want to find out more. I'm incredibly intrigued by your work, Bran. I think that tuning into energy is a skill that is not talked about enough, and I agree that it could change the world, or it could change a lot of things in the world if we as humans made a more conscious effort to tune into our energies. So I love the power of the statements that you're making. I really love the space that we're in right now and talking about energy. I do want to transition to the last part of the show, and as this show has a lot to do with purpose, it's been a central theme. I like to get people's thoughts on purpose, and as I hear you talking about the energy work that you're doing, and how it could change the world, I'm very curious to know what your thoughts are on purpose, sort of encompassed in that.
Well, I can only speak from my own experience. For me, if my perspective would be that the purpose chooses you. You can follow the call, but really, our sets of circumstances and things we go through determine many things. And yes, we do determine how we respond to them. But, if there's a greater power than ourselves that knows how we might respond, because they know us at our core, or it knows us at our core, then maybe we're being given sets of circumstances to kind of, it's almost kind of giving us this purpose. And that's why I personally believe that the purpose chooses us. And yes, we do choose if we want to respond to that as an affirmative yes, or no, I'll pass, or whatever, or we're just going to ignore it. That's up to us. But I believe the purpose most times chooses us.
Chooses us. Very, very interesting. I think that's a great response. That makes a lot of sense to me. And funny enough, I actually believe we're going to transition, into a rapid fire round right now. And I believe that you might have actually already answered 2 out of the 3 questions in the past 5 or 10 minutes. But we're going to ask them anyway. We'll see if they're consistent, I guess. But in the beginning of the podcast, I mentioned that we were going to talk about 3 things: development, decision making, and a dedication to purpose. We spoke on all of them in regards to your life and how they pertain to you. And I think you have a powerful story. I'm even right now I wish we had more time, like I said, because I'm making connections in my head about the energy of music and how music has such a profound and powerful energy. And I'm sure that has woven into so much of who you are and what you do as well. But we will save that for another time. We're going to do the rapid fire. So this first question is on development. Currently, right now in your life, do you feel like you are focusing more on personal development or professional development?
Well, personal development is something that doesn't stop. For me, it doesn't stop. And professional development comes with that as well. When we want to achieve things, when we want to reach more people, when we want to do great things, big things. So yes, both. Quite a bit, yes.
That makes a lot of sense. And many of my guests will answer both. And they're so intertwined that it's tough to separate the two. Okay, the next one is on decision making. And I'll ask the question, give you a little bit of an explanation. So when it comes to making decisions, do you base your decisions more on choice, meaning you follow the numbers or analytics, or guiding voice, meaning you follow spirituality, intuition, gut feeling, or something else of the sort?
Yes, I follow intuition, and I really tune into the energy of things like I've explained before.
Yeah. that one I figured you even talked about how you tune into the energy of the possible outcomes when making decisions. So that one felt pretty clear to me. And please.
If I may say, please, to me, all answers are inside of us. All answers.
I love that. That is a real powerful way to sort of bring this all together. That makes so much sense. All right. The last question here is in regards to purpose. And again, I feel like you might have answered this one, but I'm going to ask it in a little bit of a different way. Do you feel that purpose is nature or nurture? Are we born with it, or does it come to us at some point in our life?
That's the biggest question today for me. I would lean more towards nurture. I would lean more towards nurture, but there has to be something in us, like I said, to make us respond to the purpose in a certain way, to respond to things and circumstances a certain way. So it is both, although nurture would be a bigger factor in my opinion, slightly bigger.
Yeah, that was kind of my interpretation of when you had said that purpose comes to us. I was kind of thinking that you would lean more on the nurture side, as you know, purpose almost becomes a companion in our life that we find and then follow with it. All right, well, Bran, we are at the end of the show. I'm going to leave these last few minutes for you to leave listeners with whatever final words, final messages you'd like to leave them with. And then please let everyone know where they can find you and any of your information, like your audiobook or anything else that you want listeners to have access to. And I'll make sure to put that all in the show notes as well.
Well, thank you, Bree. Thank you for this. Thank you for all of this today. Means so much to me.
Of course.
So if I would have to say one thing, a message, well, I really, what I've been noticing and what my observation has been for so many years, that most people do not trust themselves. And so, but it's totally unnecessary and absolutely unnecessary to ignore the inner voice, the inner callings, the inner warnings, the inner guidance, the intuition, the gut, the wise things that we all carry inside of us, and we all have them. Why would we keep on ignoring them? So I would kind of urge people to start paying more attention to those things, to those in the modern world, still mostly invisible things, but everyone can feel them. So that's why I go back to energy. So I would say, start paying attention to more of these internal things, and to be able to start to trust yourself more and make decisions based on your intuition, making decisions based on your intuition. That's right.
Very powerful. Thank you. And please let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, that's just one website there where you can find everything, including music links. It's BEnergyAware.com. So that's just one letter, B, and then EnergyAware.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much again. Bran Katanec, everyone. Bran, it has been such a pleasure. And I really look forward to tuning into my own energy and staying connected in the future.
Thank you so much, Brie. Thank you.
Absolutely. And until next time, let this be the moment.